Welcome back to my series on gun experiments where I do things with guns that they're not necessarily supposed to do, but hopefully it will work out. Today's candidate, the Raging Judge Magnum. I love this thing. I think it's a phenomenal weapon, and I love that it's multi-caliber, that it can take the .454 Casull and the .45 Colt and the .45 Schofield and the .410 shot shell. But there's one that I wish it could do that is missing from that list, and that's the .45 ACP. Everybody knows the .45 ACP. It's the standard .45 round, and I've got some comparison rounds here. This is a .45 Colt. This is a .45 ACP. More bullets are made in this caliber, more options for ammo choices. They're less expensive. So why wouldn't we want to be able to shoot .45 ACP? Can we? Well, you think about it, the Governor, which is a similar style gun, can chamber and shoot .45 ACPs. So maybe it's possible. There have been .45 Colt revolvers that could use moon clips and chamber the .45 ACP. So I thought, well, let's try. Let's find out. So I contacted Steve Crawford at Ranch Products, who makes moon clips and who does machining of cylinders, and he makes these things happen. And I asked him, could we possibly get the Raging Judge to shoot .45 ACP without modifying the gun? Because they make a cylinder modification where they machine out a portion of the cylinder to make room for the moon clips to go, which is fine and dandy. But when you're shooting .454 Casull's, a very high pressure round, I really don't like the idea of cutting away any metal. That all the support metal that's here, I like it. I want it to stay here. This is a very sturdy gun, and it handles those .454s, and I don't want to mess with that. I'm not saying there would be a danger issue if you did that modification. I'm just saying I don't want to if I don't have to. And so we started talking about moon clips and could a moon clip possibly work? And he said, well, yeah, a moon clip will work fine if you get one thin enough. So he makes product for the Smith & Wesson Governor, a 6-shot moon clip, and also sells it in a package with a 2-shot third of a clip. And I found that this moon clip exactly lines up with the cylinder, so it's perfect in shape. It's just too thick. So then I set about with a grinder and ground this down to where I got it thin enough. The cylinder closes. So, would it fire? I can get the round in there, but would it fire? That was the question, and according to Steve, yeah, if it head spaces properly and the round is secure against the breech face and the firing pin hits it, should fire. So I'm going to try it. I'm gonna try these .45 ACPs in the Raging Judge using the thin moon clips and see how we do. Now, I want to caution you right off the bat, do not do this with a regular Judge. This is only something that I'm willing to try because this is a Raging Judge. It is severely overbuilt. The regular Judge has a very, very thin wall cylinder. It's designed to handle .45 Colt, which has a maximum of 14,000 PSI. .45 ACP is a much higher pressure round, about 50% higher pressure. Take a look at the cylinder wall here. See the difference? Now, do you really want to run a 50% higher pressure round in these thin cylinder walls? I wouldn't. So I consider doing this for the Raging Judge because the Raging Judge handles up to 65,000 PSI, easily will handle anything that the .45 ACP can throw at it. The ammo I'm going to try is Hornady's Critical Defense in .45 Colt, and Zombie Max, which is critical defense, in .45 ACP. So basically the exact same bullet, same diameter, same weight, both have the polymer tip in it, and they're actually rated on the box at almost identical ballistics. So I'm going to take this ammo to the range. I'm going to fire 3 rounds of .45 Colt and 3 rounds of .45 ACP into a block of clear ballistics gel. Let's see what happens. Let's also just run some over the chronograph and find out, what kind of velocities do you get running .45 ACP? Is this a viable thing to do with your Raging Judge? Let's go get some answers. The .45 Colt Critical Defense performed really well, at least as far as penetration goes. They all 3 hit right on 12 inches. So great consistency, excellent performance. There's a lot of shedding of weight. The block is kind of dirty with all the leftover bits and pieces that fall off of Critical Defense bullets, but the net result was You got your 12 inches, you got your expansion, and they were all consistent. One of them came a little short in that it bounced back, but when you look at the actual damage track, you can see it clearly exceeded 12 inches. And so if we compensate using the Schwartz quantitative ammunition selection formula, we come up with a net result of 12 inches for that one as well. So 3 bullets, 12 inches, well done. The 45 ACP from the Raging Judge using the moon clips. We use Zombie Max, which is the same thing as Critical Defense. It just has a green tip instead of a red tip. And the penetration was actually quite a bit better. These bullets came in at 14 inches once compensated for the bounce back, but you can see the visible damage track, and you know that it penetrated further. So we got deeper penetration even though we had the exact same weight bullet and a lot slower speed. Only one way that can all add up, and that's got to be smaller expansion, but we will see that in the bullet exam. We know that this was a lot slower at velocity than this was, and now we can see what the difference is in the bullet. These bullets are huge. They expanded to a much larger size than these ones did, and they also ripped off a lot of these supporting petals. You can see the petals are still attached on the 45 ACPs, but on the 45 Colts, I got 2 there, and the rest of them all got ripped off. So as far as which bullet hit harder and which one expanded bigger, no question, the 45 Colt from the Raging Judge. Notice I'm not trying to make a comparison between Colt and ACP from their own respective guns. This is only relevant to using 45 ACP in the Raging Judge. What did we gain? What did we lose? Well, we lost a lot. We lost a lot of hitting power. We lost a lot of expansion. We did, however, gain a little penetration. They actually penetrated further from the 45 ACP than they did from the 45 Colt, understandably because the bullet is so much bigger. It slowed it down. All right, we got our answer. And yes, you can do it. You can turn a Raging Judge into a 45 ACP gun. And now that I know that, I'll probably never do it again. Just because it's not really worth the hassle. Dealing with the moon clips and snapping rounds in and having to check and snap them all out. And it takes half the fun out of it. And you do lose a lot of velocity. And that concerns me. Now, this particular ammo did still perform decently well, but you lose a lot of velocity. And I think the reason why is because the chamber is so long here, and it's still wide open to accommodate that giant 454 Casull bullet, that it leaves extra space. The chamber should have narrowed down to accommodate this little tiny 45 ACP, and it doesn't. So you have all this extra space around where the bullet is, and I think that some of the propellant gases are escaping through there. The bullet isn't quite enough to seal that until later on in the process. And I think we lose pressure and lose velocity because of that. And so therefore, 45 ACP, they can fire. You could use them for target practice. Probably what I would do is I would stick these moon clips in my gun bag and know that, if the dreaded zombie apocalypse ever happened and the only ammo I could find is 45 ACP, hey, my gun could still be used. But yeah, I think I'm going to relegate it to backup purposes. But anyway, I'm kind of thrilled that I have yet another caliber. That's 5 calibers I've been able to run out of the Raging Judge so far. And that's just kind of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this was informative. Hopefully it answered some questions that some of you may have had. And if you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified when my next video is posted.